Hello everyone and welcome back to Black Dahlia. Last time we got bombarded by subliminal messages in order to get through a door, which led us into space. Let's be a little more grounded this episode, how about? Let's actually get back into the case at hand. Head back to Sullivan's office. Let's get a little bit more grounded from the floatiness of last time.
What's on your mind?
Alright, well, at this point we're a little bit less new, I should say. Yeah, alright. We have a couple of things to mention. Getting into some dangerous territory with Sullivan, especially with how Sullivan dealt with Penske when he made the connection with the Brotherhood and gotten into more fancier things, or not even with the Brotherhood, it was fancier things with the Black Dahlia. But we have to go down that line. What else can we do?
I know you're gonna think this is a little screwy, sir, but... well, I am convinced that there is a connection between this Brotherhood of Thule and the Torso killings.
I'd say you'd lost your marbles, but I think I know you a little better than that. All the same, that's rather a large leap of logic, don't you think? What proof do you have?
Nothing firm, maybe just a hunch.
I'm gonna need something more solid than a hunch.
Well, for starters, there's Lewis Fisher. We know he worked for this Brotherhood, and he was only killed after I got a hold of him at the Raven Room. Now, I think he was killed by this Brotherhood to keep him from talking, and they sent his head in a box to try to scare me away. But Detective Marilow is convinced that he was murdered by the Torso killer. That's a mighty big coincidence, don't you think?
Go on.
Well, here's the really screwy part. There's the Black Dahlia.
The black what?
Dahlia, sir. It's a rare gem. Legend has it that whoever has this thing will be granted great powers, but only after you give it a blood sacrifice of 9 victims. It's hoodoo nonsense, sir, but it must be pretty valuable. Because Von Hess was just a little too eager to get his hands on it. That's what got him into hot water at the Raven Room.
What does this gemstone of yours have to do with the Raven Room?
I think this Brotherhood uses the Raven Room as a front. And whoever's behind this society, he's the one with the Dahlia. That's what Von Hess was trying to get in the club's back room.
Now let me see if I've got this straight. The Brotherhood of Thule uses the Raven Room as its front, and they have this magic gemstone the Nazis want? And, if I understand you correctly, the Torso killings are all on account of this Black Dahlia as well?
I know it sounds half-baked.
I don't think it's even made it into the oven, Mr. Pearson.
Trust me on this one, sir. Please. I know I don't have any proof, but if I'm sure of anything, I'm sure of this. The Torso killer is connected to the Brotherhood of Thule, and all these murders are tied up somehow in this black gem of theirs.
Very well, I'll let you pursue this. For now, talk to Winslow and Marilow, see what they've got on the Torso killings. See if you can't find some solid evidence of a connection to the Raven Room. Now, I'm sure I don't need to tell you we can have no more incidents like the one we had at the party. See if you can't handle this a little more delicately.
Thank you, sir. You won't regret this.
See that I don't, Mr. Pearson.
Alright, now we can do some investigation proper into finding this link between the two. But first, whatever happened to Von Hess? He was kind of taken away, but not really. The FBI and Marilow were kind of fighting over him.
What happened to that Von Hess fellow?
He's in Winslow's hands. I've requested that he be turned over into our custody, but I'm afraid the FBI has all the pull with the men in Washington right now. I should imagine, however, that at the very least, he'll be deported to Germany.
So I guess out of our hands now. I don't buy that. We're probably going to be needing use of him at some point or another, but that's really all we can do at Sullivan's right now. He did give us a lead, though. Either talk to Dick or talk to Marillo. Personally, I feel like it's a better shot at talking to Marillo first. After all, I kind of like Marillo, don't you? I don't want to talk to Dick, or at least I want to postpone it as much as possible.
Come in. What can I do for you, Pearson?
Yes, I've just been sitting here with my hands on the table, just like pondering life, waiting for the scene to start, you know? Get into position, you know? Alright, anyway. What should we start with? Let's talk about Von Hess. How did it go on your side?
There was some ruckus with that Von Hess fella.
Yeah. Funny how he just happened to get caught back there like that, huh?
Yeah, it was funny that way.
Got a little something for you. I don't know why I pocketed this, but I did. I got mad when Ness handed that crowd over to Winslow, so I kept it. This'll probably do you more good than it will me. I don't know what it is, but I saw the crowd drop it. He seemed plenty upset when he couldn't find it.
Thanks, Detective. This might be a big help.
Ooh, handy dandy things. Okay. Let's take a look. Not a lot it changed in terms of the... Well, actually it did. We don't have Winslow's pass anymore. Or the invitation, but of course we don't. In this case, we get a different invitation! Brothers, the time of Thule is nearly at hand. The ranks of the chosen must... what does that say? Let's get time to smell? No, definitely not. Present this invitation to your candidate. The key to their entrance can be found within our grand design. Okay. So this little baby is something that we are actually able to investigate a little bit further. It has a backside that just says Thule Awakens. The other thing we can do, though, with it is we can fold it. That's a bad sign. It's a puzzle. And it's a puzzle I am not dealing with this disc, because I have that option to do so. I'm going to postpone it completely. Instead, we can ask more about Von Hess.
Do you know what happened to the medallion Von Hess had on him?
What?
The medallion. It was shaped like an iron cross. He had it with him at the party.
Sorry, kid, I don't know anything about that. But if he had it with him at the party, the FBI should have found it when they tossed him.
If you don't know what the medallion he's actually talking about, it's the one that Von Hess actually showed to us at the beginning of the disc that he got off Louis. That's what they were trying to get off of him at the loft before he died. Well, they got it, and now it's kind of gone AWOL. Alright. No luck there. Now we get to the meat of things.
I'd like to see the evidence in the torso case.
Yeah, right, kid. Why would I need another Fed interfering in my investigation? One's plenty.
Because I think I can help you.
You know, kid, you made me curious. Why do you need to see the torso evidence?
Oh, come on, Detective. You smelled a rat ever since my man's head turned up in a box. My case is all wrapped up in this torso killing business. You know it, I know it. All I'm asking for is a little help. Let me see the case file. If anything in my investigation turns up that should have a bearing on your case, you'll be the first person I come to. Or, if you prefer, I can go straight to Winslow.
You know, I'm beginning to like you, Pearson. You'd have made a good cop. Who knows? Maybe you can help me. Nothing like getting a fresh pair of eyes on it anyways. Here you go. Knock yourself out.
Okay, so we have a lot of information in order to actually go through at this point. This is the entire Torso Killer case file. Everything from the first victim all the way up to, well, the newspaper found for the 8th victim. which would be Louis. So let's start at the bottom and work our way up. Most recent. So, starting on August. So, we have the first victim, who is Angelo Santini. Certain case words, you can read this if you really wish, but there's really not much in order to really get out of it, other than, apparently some things taken by officers reveal no witnesses of strange incidents near sewer outlet. Possibly looking into the railroad workers that they did at the time. There's not much there anyways. Some reason perpetrated by the victim. But this is just preliminary ideas of what the killer was actually going for. However, there is one thing that we're able to actually get out of this, and that is the address that is up here. If we click on it...
I wonder if this Santini's home bears checking into.
We get access to that place. It's a really easy thing to miss. If you are just glancing through the case file, you have no idea where to go, and you need access to the Santini home. You also get some pictures too. These are nice quick things that we can actually look up. The home turns up nothing, according to their investigation.
Any crime scenes bear checking into?
Funny you should mention that, because there was one place I was just thinking about checking again. We found a few bodies around a pond just off of Kingsbury Run. The sewers all run into it. We thought he might be using them, but there are miles and miles of them. You might want to try checking them yourself.
I can't imagine having to look through miles and miles of sewers for a possible place that the torso killer might be hanging out. There's also newspaper. Now, I want you to take a look at something. The newspapers that all have blood on them because they were all used in order to package up the limbs. Certain numbers of the dates or the volume or the number or the issue of the newspaper are either covered up by blood or showing up. In this case, only the 1 and the 5 show up. Make a note of this. Of these numbers on each of the newspapers that are in this case file and what numbers appear. You don't need to know why. Just do it. Trust me.
What about the newspapers?
Damned if I know, kid. It's the strangest thing. The bodies came wrapped in them. Now, we thought he might be leaving behind a clue for us, but we haven't been able to figure out a pattern. Papers came from all sorts of different times, different places. Nothing sticks out. Maybe you can figure out a connection.
I'll do my best.
So here's the thing that I was mentioning before earlier on in this disc, is information that is put in front of you that you think is really important, but actually isn't, or is really important down the line and you have no idea whether, and to the point where it's further down the line that you have no idea what to do with it. Adventure games had a problem called Dead Man Walking, or a DMW situation. And a lot of games fell victim to this, even the really hugely acclaimed ones. King's Quest, huge for this, is just having a situation where a puzzle is going to come down a lot later on that you have no way of knowing, unless you played the game before, to know that that information is important for later on. Which means that when you get to that point where the situation hits, then you have to go backwards and replay a whole bunch of stuff in order to get the information that you need in order to solve the puzzle later on. It's terrible. It is a really bad, unfortunate thing that a lot of adventure games suffer from. And Black Dahlia is no exception. Victims of number 2. And then we get this one. So that has a 6 and a 5. Looks like a 5. Here we go. The other thing about the newspapers is that they're not just Cleveland. They are from a whole bunch of different places. 5. Alright, case number 6, which is the third victim who was found behind a building instead. 300, 300 Tommies from Cincinnati. 26 and a 0. Victim 4 was found in the sewer outlet. Kind of goes back to figuring out whether or not the torso killer was actually using sewers or not. Well, it's here. We got a July newspaper, 1 and a 7 and a 5. Okay. What else we got? I think that was the one I just looked at. Yep. Except victim 5, found by some train cars. Yeah, alright. And the newspaper corresponding with that, we got a 1, we got a 1, and another 1 from the Inquirer. And we have 2 lines for that one, okay. And we got a hobo camp. Killer may be here in the hobo camps in Kingsbury Run. If Ness burns them down, will we lose evidence? Fighting a little bit with the FBI in this case. Victim 6. It's the latest of 4 bodies found here in Kingsbury Run so far. And the newspaper specifically, which has a 6 and a 9 and a 3 as well up here in the date. Victim 7, which is the one we saw at the beginning of the game, the very beginning, that opening cutscene. The one that was found by 2 young boys. Its paper, 3 and a 4, it looks like. And then we get a summary of the victims. So they put them all together in order to figure out what kind of comparisons that could be made to all of them. And you'll find one word that kind of fits a lot of the different victims. The word transient. One thing about the torso killer is that he's not picky about who he kills. Because in this case, we have a white female, a black male, indeterminate age sometimes. Sometimes young, sometimes old. And we got another transient. She remains unidentified as victim 5. Victim black female. East Bank transient. And then we have victim 8, who is Louis. Victim was last seen at St. Bartholomew's Mission. One-time been a member of Dutch Schultz's gang. So yeah, a lot there. I can just kind of flip through those pages. And summary there. And then we get where he was found by a mill worker. The very last item on the list is the interesting one. The newspaper for Louis Fisher. Apparently it was impounded by the FBI.
Where's the rest of the evidence?
What do you mean? It's all there.
Well, unless the killer changed his methods just for Louis Fisher, the rest of them should have been found wrapped up as neat as a butcher's steak.
Oh, nothing slips by you, does it, Hotshot? Thing is, that's all I've got. Winslow's been stalling with the evidence from Louis' murder for weeks. Says his boys have it in the lab. Now, if I was the cynical type, I'd say he was withholding evidence so I couldn't find the killer. I'd say he was trying to hog the credit for himself, while we working stiffs do all the work. But that'd just be if I was cynical.
And that's where we kind of get stuck. We don't have a lot more options in order to go to because the FBI is stalling. Stalling by a good amount. This was put in November 25th. It's now December 2nd.
Thanks, Detective.
Anything for you, kid.
Hopefully, we can get some information out of Winslow about the whole situation. As well as get a whole bunch of other places in order to go to. We can actually head back to the Raven Room if we really want to. Get a little access to Kingsbury Run. Head over to the Santini home because we have that address. But the FBI has been kind of waiting for us and I want to get it out of the way right now.
Jimbo! What can I do you for?
Get the heck out of here, Candy. Okay. Go into your side room where you're just waiting. Not a lot to inspect in Winslow's office anymore. Just need to talk to him. Get things straight. Got a lot of things to discuss.
What happened to Mr. Penske? What did the Bureau do with him?
Why, whatever you talking about, sport?
Why was Mr. Penske moved from his room at Sunnyvale?
Look, now, I don't have any idea what it is you're all worked up about. Last I heard, he was shipped off to a sanitarium after his crack-up. Now, if he had been moved, I'm sure it was due to his doctor's recommendations.
The weird thing I find about talking to actually Winslow at this point is that I'm glad the subtitles sometimes work, most of the time, because for some reason I'm not doing anything but the actual dialogue cuts off, even though there's a lot more they're actually able to say during the dialogue options. So if you are willing to know about the extra dialogue that seemingly was in the game that they just didn't record, it's there.
What happened to Von Hess?
We're questioning him right now. I imagine he'll be sent back to Germany shortly.
Did he spill anything?
Said he had every right to be at that party. Won't say what he wanted in that back room, though.
Yeah, he's gonna keep silent.
Did you find anything on Von Hess?
No, nothing important. Just some papers, money, that sort of thing.
No medallion?
Well, yes, now that you mention it, he did have some sort of cross on him. Why? What's so important about it?
I think that medallion plays a part in my investigation. I'm not sure what just yet, but I'd like to get my hands on it.
Oh, no, that's not too likely. Now, he may have had his hand caught in the cookie jar, but he's still an important diplomat. Now, we just can't pass around his personal belongings now, can we, sport?
He stole that medallion.
Do you have any proof of that?
No.
Then I'm afraid there's nothing I can do.
He immediately shoots us down. Honestly, the timing of that is just awesome. I like it. It's just like, I need that. He stole it. Do you have any proof? Like, seriously, let's be honest here. Okay. What's happening with some newspapers, though?
I'd like to see the evidence in the torso case.
Jimbo, that's hardly your jurisdiction.
True, but I believe there's a connection between my case and your killer.
That doesn't seem very likely. How do you figure?
Well, there's the Lewis Fisher murder.
Lewis Fisher worked at many different places and made quite a few enemies. It doesn't surprise me that the torso killer was one of them.
This is another one that just kind of cuts out, even though it kind of just keeps going. I do honestly wonder if they just found that the scene didn't add as much as it should have, or it's just a possible problem with my copy of the game. I'm not sure. Again, this game is a little bit of a touchy thing in order to get going. It freezes on me constantly.
Detective Merlo tells me you've still got some of the evidence in the torso case.
Our boys are going over the evidence very thoroughly. We've had a late start on this case. Marillo's been working on it far longer than us, and he's gotten nowhere. Now that we've been called in, we intend to do the job right. If there's one thing in this world I can't abide, it's incompetence.
Oh, so it's not because Detective Merlo has a leg up on you, like he says.
I'm gonna be the man to catch this killer. But I suppose I should look into it and make sure my men return the evidence once they're done with it.
Dick is stiffening up, it seems. He has a motive as well. Huh, alright. Well, we get stonewalled. He's just gonna look at it. That means that we don't have much more to really do, other than kind of waste our time. One last thing that we're gonna do this video. Let's head to Kingsbury Run and see what we can find there. So Kingsbury Run, specifically in Disc 4, there's actually not a whole lot we're actually able to do here. Just kind of take a look around and just kind of scout about. In all honesty, this kind of view just makes it look like a apocalypse has hit Cleveland. It's way too dreary. There's some things that we can look up a little bit closer, just kind of some graffiti anyways. Probably maybe an Easter egg involving, I don't know, maybe the developers or something. Randy plus Ez, and they're in love. Smokey B, 61639. Something like that. And on the other side has an interesting one right over there. 1, NRA, I did my part. And you're still a bum. Plus the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. Followed by shut up Shakespeare. I like it. Just kind of some good banter there. But unfortunately,
It seems to be locked solid.
yeah, we are not getting very far in Kingsbury Run right now, mainly because of this lock. We're not going to find a key for it. Not by a long shot. So what that means is that Kingsbury Run, not a whole lot of importance there right now. We can't do much scouting for Marillo at this point, so we're going to be doing a bunch of different things in order to try and find more of a connection between our Brotherhood case and the Torso Killer. Which is going to involve going to the Santini home, going back to the source, the home of the first victim. I'll see you next time, everyone.